Look at you. You're worried about being 5 minutes late to a job you hate. You're stressed because your biological clock is ticking or because your leftovers expired yesterday. You think time is a river, a relentless conveyor belt dragging you toward the sweet, sweet embrace of the void. Well, I have good news and bad. The bad news, you're still going to die. The good news, according to a massive chunk of theoretical physics, now doesn't actually exist, and time is just a very persistent, very annoying hallucination. Welcome to the block universe, where your birth, your first heartbreak, and your eventual heat death are all happening simultaneously, like a DVD that's already been pressed, and you're just the poor sap stuck in the laser reader. For a long time, we had it easy. Isaac Newton, the guy who invented gravity because an apple bullied him, thought time was absolute. To him, the universe had a giant invisible Rolex in the sky. 1 second for you was 1 second for a star in Andromeda. Simple, orderly. Then came Einstein, the man who decided reality wasn't complicated enough. Einstein realized that space and time aren't separate. They're a four-dimensional fabric called space-time. And here's the kicker. This fabric is stretchy. If you move fast enough or hang out near something heavy, like a black hole or your ego, time slows down. This is special relativity. It tells us there is no universal now. If I'm moving toward you, my now might include your future. If I'm moving away, my now might be your past. If everyone's now is different, then no single now can be special. Essentially, Einstein turned the universe into a giant loaf of bread. You can slice it at different angles depending on how fast you're moving, but the loaf, the whole history of the universe, is just there. It doesn't flow, it just exists. If the fundamental laws of physics don't care about time, if the equations for gravity and light work just as well moving backwards as they do forwards, why do we only remember the past? Why don't we ever remember tomorrow's lottery numbers? That would be much more helpful for my crippling debt. The answer is the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. The universe started in a state of freakishly low entropy. Everything was neat, tidy, and packed into a tiny point. Ever since the Big Bang, things have been getting messier. Time isn't a fundamental property of the universe, it's just the direction in which things get more chaotic. You see time because things break. You age because your DNA is falling apart. We are essentially just biological machines designed to turn low-entropy cheeseburgers into high-entropy waste and existential crisis. Physics suggests that if the universe ever reaches heat death, a state of maximum chaos where everything is the same temperature, time will essentially stop. Not because the clock breaks, but because there will be no way to tell one moment from the next. Silence. Forever. Doesn't that sound peaceful? Now, if you thought Einstein was a buzzkill, wait until you meet the quantum physicists. In the 1960s, John Wheeler and Bryce DeWitt tried to combine quantum mechanics, the science of the very small, with general relativity, the science of the very big. They came up with a mathematical description of the entire universe known as the Wheeler-DeWitt equation. See that zero? That's the universe's way of ghosting you. In this equation, which is supposed to describe the state of everything, there is no variable for time. It just vanishes. According to this model, the universe is static. It's a frozen sculpture of information. Think of it like a movie film reel. If you look at a single frame, nothing is moving. If you look at the whole reel sitting in a box, nothing is happening. Change only appears when you run the film through the projector. But in physics, there is no external light source. We're just the characters inside the frames, looking at the frame next to us and screaming, "Wow, look at all this progress," when in reality, we're just ink on a page that was finished billions of years ago. So, if time doesn't exist at the fundamental level, why does it feel like we're currently waiting in eternity for my coffee to brew? Some physicists, like Carlo Rovelli, suggest that time is an emergent property. It's like temperature. A single atom doesn't have a temperature, it just has velocity. Temperature only emerges when you have a billion atoms bumping into each other. Time might be a macro illusion created by our own ignorance. Because we can't possibly track the position of every single subatomic particle in the room, we use time as a shorthand to describe the blurred movement of the world. We are basically too stupid to see the universe for what it really is, so our brains invent seconds and minutes so we don't lose our minds. It's a coping mechanism, like how you tell yourself you'll start your diet tomorrow, even though tomorrow is just a coordinate in a four-dimensional block that you'll never actually arrive at. If you're not feeling small enough yet, let's talk about the holographic principle. Some theories in string theory suggest that everything we experience, including the 3 dimensions of space and the 1 dimension of time, is just a projection of information stored on a flat, 2-dimensional surface at the edge of the universe. In this scenario, time is just a holographic shimmer. It's the lag on a cosmic Zoom call. And if time is an illusion, then the future isn't something that hasn't happened yet. It's just a place you haven't visited. It's like the city of Paris. Just because you're not in Paris right now doesn't mean Paris doesn't exist. Similarly, the version of you that's a decaying corpse in a coffin is just as real and present in the block universe as the version of you reading this script. You're not moving toward the grave. You're just a very long, very fleshy sausage stretching through the 4th dimension, and one end of the sausage happens to be a bit more moldy than the other. If physics says the past and future are equally real, why does it feel like we're being shoved forward by an invisible hand? Why do we have memories of the past but not preflections of the future? It's because our brains are essentially record-keeping machines. To function, a brain needs to create a causal chain. If you remembered the future, you'd know that jumping off that roof was a bad idea, and you wouldn't do it. But if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have the memory of doing it. The universe avoids these paradoxes by making us temporally blind. We're like people in a dark hallway with a tiny flashlight. We can only see the patch of floor we're standing on. We call that the present. We can see the footprints behind us. We call that the past. But just because the flashlight isn't hitting the wall 10 feet ahead doesn't mean the wall isn't there. It's actually quite narcissistic when you think about it. We've convinced ourselves that the entire cosmos revolves around a now that only exists because our neurons are too slow to process reality all at once. Some scientists are trying to go even deeper. They think space and time aren't even the background of the universe. They think the universe is made of loops of gravitational fields. In loop quantum gravity, there is no space and there is no time. There is only a network of relations. Imagine a chain link fence. The space is the links, but there's no time in the metal itself. At the smallest possible scale, the Planck scale, time dissolves into a foam of probability. It's like looking at a digital photo. From far away, you see a beautiful sunset. Zoom in far enough, and it's just a bunch of square-colored dots. There is no sunset in the pixels. There is no time in the math. We are living in the low-resolution version of reality. We see the sunset, we feel the minutes tick by, but that's just because our biological browsers can't render the raw code of the universe. If we could, we'd see that we're not living through years. We're just static points in a vast, timeless web. Which honestly makes your 30-year mortgage look even more ridiculous. You're paying interest on a temporal illusion. So, where does that leave us? If time doesn't exist, then you can't really be late for anything. You're already there. You're also already dead, but let's focus on the not being late part. When Einstein's best friend, Michel Besso, passed away, Einstein wrote a letter to Besso's family. He said, "Now he has departed from this strange world a little ahead of me. That means nothing. People like us who believe in physics know that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." It's the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. Your mistakes aren't behind you, they're just at a different coordinate. Your loved ones aren't gone, they're just located in a slice of the block universe you're no longer looking at. We're eternal, not because we live forever, but because forever is a meaningless concept. We simply are. So, stop checking your watch. The watch is lying to you. The sun isn't setting. The Earth is just rotating you away from a light source in a four-dimensional geometry that doesn't care about your sleep schedule. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go pretend that tomorrow exists so I can justify buying groceries. Tick-tock.